Chapter 1: The Lioness and the Secret. Cersei Lannister is introduced as the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. She is the eldest child of Tywin Lannister, the richest man in Westeros. She is married to King Robert Baratheon, but their marriage is loveless and cold. Cersei resents Robert because he is still in love with a dead woman, Lyanna Stark. Despite being the queen, she holds a dangerous secret that could destroy the realm. Her 3 children, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, are not Robert's offspring. They are the product of an incestuous relationship with her twin brother, Jaime Lannister. The Lannister twins have been lovers since they were teenagers. Cersei believes that she and Jaime are 2 halves of a whole soul. The Hand of the King, Jon Arryn, discovers this secret and dies under mysterious circumstances. King Robert travels to Winterfell to ask Ned Stark to be his new hand. During the visit, Bran Stark climbs a tower and sees Cersei and Jaime together. To protect their secret, Jaime pushes the young boy out of the window. Cersei does not show remorse, as she will do anything to protect her children. Eventually, Ned Stark uncovers the truth about Cersei's children. He confronts her in the gardens of the Red Keep, offering her a chance to flee. Cersei rejects his mercy with a famous warning regarding power. She tells him, "When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die." She arranges for Robert to be given strong wine during a boar hunt. The king is mortally wounded by a boar and dies shortly after. Cersei quickly seizes control, placing her son Joffrey on the Iron Throne. She outmaneuvers Ned Stark, leading to his arrest for treason. Although she intends to send Ned to the wall, Joffrey orders his execution. This impulsive act starts a massive war that engulfs the entire continent. Chapter 2: The Queen Regent. With Joffrey as king, Cersei rules as the Queen Regent. She believes she has the political genius of her father, Tywin. However, she often lets her emotions and paranoia cloud her judgment. She struggles to control Joffrey, who proves to be a cruel and sadistic ruler. Her brother Tyrion arrives in the capital to serve as Hand of the King. Cersei despises Tyrion, blaming him for their mother's death in childbirth. She also fears a prophecy told to her by a witch when she was a child. The prophecy stated that a Valonqar, or little brother, would eventually kill her. She is convinced that Tyrion is the brother destined to end her life. During the War of the Five Kings, Stannis Baratheon attacks King's Landing. This event is known as the Battle of the Blackwater. Cersei takes refuge in the Red Keep with the noble ladies of the court. She drinks heavily to cope with her fear of imminent defeat. She is prepared to poison her son Tommen rather than let him be captured. Just as she is about to administer the poison, her father's army arrives. Tywin Lannister saves the city, pushing Stannis' forces back. Although they are victorious, Cersei loses her authority to her father. Tywin arranges a political marriage between Joffrey and Margaery Tyrell. Cersei immediately feels threatened by Margaery's youth and beauty. The witch's prophecy also warned that a younger queen would cast her down. She watches with jealousy as Margaery easily manipulates Joffrey and the people. Chapter 3: The Purple Wedding and the Fall. The royal wedding between Joffrey and Margaery is a grand event. However, the celebration turns into a nightmare for Cersei. During the feast, Joffrey drinks poisoned wine and begins to choke. Cersei holds her dying son, watching the life leave his eyes. In her grief and rage, she immediately accuses Tyrion of the murder. She refuses to consider any other suspects because of her hatred for him. She manipulates the trial, ensuring that witnesses testify against Tyrion. Tyrion demands a trial by combat, but his champion loses the fight. Before his execution, Jaime helps Tyrion escape from the dungeons. Before leaving, Tyrion kills their father, Tywin Lannister. This leaves Cersei without her father's protection and guidance. Her younger son, Tommen, is crowned the new king. Tommen is gentle and kind, making him easy to manipulate. Margaery marries Tommen and quickly gains influence over him. Cersei feels she is losing control of her last son. In a desperate move, she decides to arm the Faith Militant. She hopes the High Sparrow, a religious fanatic, will arrest Margaery. The plan works initially, and Margaery is imprisoned for lying. However, Cersei underestimates the High Sparrow's piousness. Lancel Lannister, her cousin and former lover, confesses their sins. Cersei is arrested and thrown into a dungeon cell herself. Chapter 4: Shame and Vengeance. Cersei endures terrible conditions while imprisoned by the Faith. She is beaten, starved, and denied water by the Septas. She is forced to confess to her adultery to gain freedom. However, She denies the rumors about her children's parentage. The High Sparrow sentences her to a walk of atonement. She is stripped naked and has her hair cut short. She must walk through the streets of King's Landing to the Red Keep. The common people shout, "Shame!" and throw filth at her. Cersei cries but keeps walking, her hatred growing with every step. When she finally reaches the castle, she is broken and bleeding. She is carried inside by a new member of the Kingsguard. This giant knight is the reanimated Esser Gregor Clegane, the Mountain. Cersei vows to take revenge on everyone who humiliated her. On the day of her trial, she refuses to go to the Sept of Baelor. She stays safely in the Red Keep, watching from a high balcony. Margaery, the High Sparrow, and hundreds of nobles are at the Sept. Cersei's pyromancers ignite a massive cache of wildfire beneath the building. A green explosion consumes the Sept, instantly killing everyone inside. Cersei sips her wine and smiles, having destroyed all her enemies. However, King Tommen witnesses the horror from his window. Overcome with grief for his wife Margaery, he commits suicide. He steps out of the window, falling to his death. Cersei shows little grief when she sees his body. She believes the prophecy is inevitable and her heart has turned to stone. She crowns herself Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, sitting on the Iron Throne. Chapter 5. The Mad Queen. Cersei rules with fear, supported only by Qyburn and the Mountain. She has alienated almost everyone, including the people of King's Landing. Jaime stays by her side, but he is disturbed by her cruelty. A new enemy approaches from the east, Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys brings dragons, the Unsullied, and the Dothraki. Cersei proves to be a resilient and cunning strategist. She forms an alliance with Euron Greyjoy to strengthen her navy. Jon Snow and Daenerys request a meeting to discuss the White Walkers. They bring a captured White to the Dragon Pit to prove the threat is real. Cersei is terrified by the undead creature but sees an opportunity. She publicly pledges to send her army north to fight the dead. However, she privately reveals to Jaime that she is lying. She plans to let the monsters destroy her enemies while she gathers strength. Jaime is disgusted by her selfishness and lack of honor. For the first time, he defies her and rides north alone. Cersei is left alone, the true Queen of Ashes. Chapter 6. The End of the Dynasty. After the living defeat the Night King, the war turns south. Daenerys' fleet is ambushed, and her dragon Rhaegal is killed. Cersei captures Missandei, Daenerys' best friend and advisor. She executes Missandei on the city walls, provoking Daenerys' rage. Cersei fills the Red Keep with innocent civilians as human shields. She believes Daenerys will not attack if it means killing thousands. This proves to be a fatal miscalculation. Daenerys, consumed by fury, burns the Iron Fleet and the city defenses. The city bells ring for surrender, but Daenerys does not stop. She burns the city of King's Landing to the ground. Cersei watches from her tower as her world collapses around her. She realizes she has lost and begins to cry in fear. Jaime returns to the city, mortally wounded, to save her. They reunite in the map room, embracing each other. Cersei breaks down, admitting that she wants their baby to live. She tells Jaime, "I don't want to die." They attempt to escape through the crypts beneath the castle. However, the path is blocked by collapsed rubble. Realizing there is no escape, Jaime holds her face in his hands. He tells her to look at him, reminding her, nothing else matters. The Red Keep collapses on top of them, burying them together. Cersei Lannister dies in the arms of the only man she ever loved. It is a tragic end to a life defined by power and family.